And welcome to the sacred space of connection. Connection with each other, connection with infinite spirit. Turn to each other and say, welcome. Yeah. Thank you. And to our friends in Zoom and to our friends in Spacebook. Oh, Spacebook, that's a good one. Facebook, welcome to the sacred space as well. And this morning we have a congregational song. We just sang about love, and love is like gratefulness. It is that same energy. So thank you for this day, Con.
Thank you, Lorraine. You guys can help me out with this one, right? Oh, yeah. John, can I just get a touch more of the vocals in the monitor, please? Maybe we can do a little bit. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. So again. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful life. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful life. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful. This wonderful, this wonderful, this wonderful life. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Last time. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
Wow, I feel thankful for this day. So let's go ahead and do our exploration vision. And if you would join me, through mindful and respectful exploration, we are creating a healthier foundation that supports and engages a whole beloved community, equipped to launch new strategies for the thriving spiritual practice center. Okay, we love that. So now it's time for introductions. Our monthly theme this month is light within the shadows. The message today is inner and outer spectrum. And she needs no introduction because we all know her. We voted for her unanimously. Our spiritual leader of 2 congregations. She is kind, she is analytical, she is spiritual, she is loving, she is supportive. She gets up in front of us and demonstrates vulnerability so we can learn from her. Our big kahuna, she rides surfboards, Reverend Bobby Becker. And Kong, we are so lucky to have you here. He's very soulful, and that is a wonderful musical, spiritual ministry. And how fortunate we are to be blessed with you. Thank you. June Freeman is our practitioner of the day. Yay! June loves and studies silence. And when you ask her about it, she doesn't have much to say. June is a practitioner here for 4 years. She laughs, beautiful laugh, beautiful smile. She's really smart, and all that great service goes into hospitality. She's serving at the tables. Don't we love her? I'm Lorraine. I'm part of a team of 4 of hosts that volunteer here at Seal Beach. And our Marjorie, our leader, Marjorie, she has all these announcements for us.
Oh, thank you. All right. A little update on, we voted for unification, and I think the first major, it feels like a big step we took yesterday, meeting over here in our youth room. The practitioners from Namaste and Seal Beach got together, and we are now operating as one. So someone from Seal Beach or Namaste puts in a prayer request, it goes out to all of the practitioners at Namaste and at Seal Beach. So this just feels like a real, we're on our way, and I love it, and we'll keep you posted as we make more progress through this transition period. Then I would like to invite Reverend Bobby Becker up to talk about her 4 agreements.
Well, good morning. Got your Sunday best on? Oh, at least. Sometimes those are shorts as far as I'm concerned, right? That's my Sunday best. But I can't always do that, so I'm good with today. The 4 agreements. So do you guys have a slide or you don't have a slide? Even better. So as you can see, there are 2 dates. I'm not sure it's going to last the entire 4 hours on that day. It's probably going to be more like 3. But the 4 agreements is our way of coming out of a time of retreat. How many of you feel like some of your relationships have really struggled over the last 3.5 years? Yeah, seriously. And it's almost like we've forgotten how to engage in a way that is respectful. But how do you engage respectfully if I don't look here? This is where I have to start. So that day we're going to be talking about how do we come together in relationships, not only in spiritual community, but how do I operate in my relationships, spouse, partner, child, friend, family member, my favorites. And so the intention is to explore that day and remind ourselves how we can approach things so that we're not part of what has been going on, which is a huge division. Everyone wants to be right. Well, if everyone wants to be right, guess where we are? Nowhere. And so that's the intention, is to explore that on these 2 dates. You can sign up for one or the other. It's inclusive one day. It's not a 2-day workshop. It's a 1-day workshop offered twice. Does that make sense? Great. So pick one date, either May 13th at Namaste or May 27th here at Seal Beach. And I look forward to seeing you all.
Got to tell you, this is one not to miss. I have already signed up. So get in there, and we're going to just have a wonderful time coming together. I just am so excited about this. Now, on May 20th, we have this mind-body reset on the 20th. It's a Saturday from 2:30 to 4, and it's with Valerie Day and Dennis Estrada. So it will be right here in the sanctuary, May 20th from 2:30 to 4. Mark your calendars. And also, we have something exciting coming up. We're starting up a choir. And Des is going to be leading it. It's going to be rehearsing on Thursdays, I think. We're working on it. We're still working out how it's going to start. But if you're interested, Eileen, stand up, Eileen, raise your hand. All right. We'll talk to her so we know about how many people we're going to have in this choir. And Pam is also with it, but Pam is in Northern California with her daughter's engagement party. So we bless her there. So now let's all just take that deep breath. Oh, and just allow yourself to rest into that center, that space that is love and peace and quiet as we prepare ourselves for June and Bobby, and I release it into the peace.
So today's theme is inner and outer spectrum. So we have the outer world, right? We have the world of our five senses, right? And it's ever changing, right? Things come and go. We have good days, we have bad days, and everything is related through our senses from the outer world, right? And then we have the inner spectrum, right? Now, as Lorraine said, I do spend a lot of time in silence, probably more than most. And so there is this silence within. And to experience it is to experience the inner self at such a depth. And you can either call it spirit, or guide, or self, or the universe. You can call it whatever it is that you wish. But there's an outer world and there's an inner world. So how would you like to just get a little tiny peek of that inner world today? Yes? Okay. If you wish, close your eyes. And just take a deep breath in and let go. And take another deep breath in and let go. And now put a gentle awareness on your breath. Just a gentle attention on the air coming in the nostrils and out of the nostrils. And just gently put your attention on that. And I'll let you take a minute to experience that. In and out. Let the thoughts come and go. Do not resist any of the thoughts. And now take a deep breath in and let go. Take another deep breath in and let go. Become aware of your body and your environment. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. So, did you notice anything? If you had any thoughts, who is observing the thoughts? If you were thinking, who was doing the thinking? What voice did you hear inside? When you go way deep down inside, you get to experience the self. You get to experience the silence. You have the outer world of activity where everything is changing. And then you have your inner self where nothing changes at all. And so how do you bridge the two? How do you go from the outer into the inner? And that is by the breath. The breath is the bridge that gets you from the outer of activity into the inner, which is the silence. And by knowing different breathing rhythms and techniques, gives you different experiences in life. And the different breathing rhythms is like having different combinations to different safes. You have a combination for this safe, and it gives you this. And you have a combination for this safe, and it gives you that. And so the breath is a combination, it's a code that bridges you from the outer to the inner. And so you get to experience what type of bridge you want to build, depending on the type of breath. So as you've been going through life, has the bridge to your life experiences been like crossing a rotted log, where you go to cross it and you're so afraid it's going to break and you're going to fall into the abyss? Or is the bridge kind of like one of those swaying bridges, where you're at the whim of the wind and you're hanging on for dear life with your knees knocking and your teeth chattering? Or do you go through life and different life experiences on a good, solid steel bridge, knowing that you can take your time, you can smell the flowers, you can feel the breeze on your face, you can feel the gentle sun on your back, and know that you're going to get to the other side with confidence? So what type of bridge are you going through life experiences with? What type of bridge connects the outer world to the inner world? Ernest Holmes says in The Science of Mind, back in the innermost recesses of uplifted thought and silent contemplation, there is a voice ever proclaiming. That is our inner voice. That is the silence. And the way to experience that is through silence. So we have the two worlds. And there's Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, the global humanitarian and founder of the Art of Living, says, every emotion is connected with the breath. If you change the rhythm of the breath, you change the breath and you can change your emotions. So what type of bridge are we building? The New York Times bestseller book, Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art, the author James Nestor wrote, the difference in breathing is the coordinated pattern, and in an altered pattern is the difference between operating at peak efficiency or just getting along. An engine does not have to be in tip-top shape to work, but it gives it a much better performance if it does. So what kind of performance have you been going on through life? Connecting the outer world with the inner. So I just want you to consider what type of bridge you're walking on as you go through different life experiences. And in closing, just remember, today is a gift from God, and that's why it's called the present. Thank you. And so it is.
my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left his seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, and my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People started talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never shared. No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you, take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell, echo in the sound of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, whisper in the sound of silence.
I always love that song. Am I on? I'll use the wireless in a minute. Thank you. I love that song because it talks about the paradox of silence, too. When we're silent to injustice, that to me is a silence that is spoken loudly in that particular piece. Thank you, Kong. Love how you sing. What's that? I know. Sorry, this is my talk title. Unlearning the fear of the darkness. We could define what darkness is, right? Because I imagine it means something different for everyone. Let me start with a story. Patricia Williams, she's the University Distinguished Professor of Law and Humanities at Northeastern University and the Director of Law, Technology, and Ethics Initiatives. She's way more smart than me already. She has an award-winning column called Diary of a Mad Law Professor. And she appeared in The Nation magazine for 2 decades. I was watching an interview of her with Reverend Dr. Malcolm Clemens Young, and he's a dean at Grace Cathedral up in Northern California. She tells a story of her great-great-grandmother. And she didn't know much about her great-great-grandmother. In fact, her family didn't know anything beyond her great-great-grandmother because her family was born into slavery. And anything past that time, there are no records, except. She didn't know much about this relationship until her and her sister decided to do a little bit of research. Now, this great-great-grandmother was described by family as being lazy and only liking to fish. She didn't talk to anybody. She was very introverted. And it wasn't until they decided to do a little research that they found a contract of sale for her at the age of 11 in the National Archives. She was sold away from her family at the age of 11. She was purchased by a single man who was 30 years old. And by the age of 12, she had a child. She ended up having 11 children by this man, and all of her children were taken away from her and moved into working in the house. This is a plantation structure. And they were taken and moved into the house because they were light-skinned and pretty, as was the day. Her children despised her from the big house because she was operating at sort of the lowest within the structure of a plantation. And her children really never had anything nice to say. The thing, though, is family relationships were disguised, often, within a system of commodification. The ability to buy and sell, at the same time ignoring the humanity of a people. Now, this affected and continues to affect families, generations. In fact, we don't really even know how much has affected generations because it's really not talked about. The story of her trauma became a characterization of her being lazy. She didn't, like I said, she didn't talk to people. And family relationships were disguised in the plantation as a means of justifying what was happening at the time. Today's world, something happening like that to an 11-year-old would be considered the most horrible form of abuse we could imagine. But at the time, it was okay. Because we had declared a group of people as being not human. That's how we do it. Now, her family had created that story from the very system in which they had grown up in. And it wasn't until Patricia and her sister realized that their great-great-grandmother was probably horribly depressed and affected, and that probably the only place she could find peace was by the river. That is an assumption, because that's all we can make. Now, the thing about exploring sort of the darkness of family issues and the darkness within ourselves is, I think, greatly spoken from this Sufi mystic quote. If you don't have room in your living room for an elephant, please don't make friends with the elephant trainer. I'm going to repeat that. If you don't have room in your living room for an elephant, please don't make friends with the elephant trainer. In order for us to look at things, we have to realize that part of the process is that discomfort. It's not going to be comfortable when we look at both history and we look at whether it's our own personal history, family history, collective history, even getting to this point in our unification between two communities. There was a sense of having to look at things in a much deeper, open way. And part of that was a recognition that alone we can accomplish so little. Together, we can accomplish a greater potentiality, and it comes back to this, which is there are strengths in both communities, and those strengths collectively which is really the power of oneness, which is knowing that we are all part of it. And it isn't just these two communities that have come together. We're not doing it just for Seal Beach and Namaste, are we? We're doing it for the world. So what is the world asking for us to do? To look at our lives and places that we need to reveal beliefs and systems that are not only not serving us, but keeping us from our true potential. Plato's allegory of the cave. How many of you have heard the allegory of the cave? And if you haven't, that's okay. It really goes like this. It begins with these prisoners who are living their entire lives imprisoned inside a cave. They do not know it. Behind the prisoners is a fire. And between the fire and the prisoners are people carrying puppets and other objects, and they're casting shadows between the fire and me, and they're projecting them up against the wall. They believe this is the reality. They've known nothing else, so how could it not be? One prisoner suddenly looks around and sees what's happening behind him. Looks from the light to whatever is really going on. Maybe I can look at it, which is, I'm going to look at the elephant trainer. The prisoners could escape from the cave. There was always a place to go. But because they were so focused on the shadow, they never saw a way out. This one prisoner ventured out, saw what was outside, it's all brand new, and decided to go back in and try to rescue the others, but the others would not believe. Oh no, this is the reality. This is what's true. You see, I can't find the truth of my experience, really, unless I look in the darkness, unless I look at really what's going on underneath it all. So Mohandas Gandhi said this with respect to a question that was asked to him. He says, he was asked, do you have a message I can take back to our people? Someone shouted this to him at a train station, and he responded back with a note, words written on a piece of paper, and he said, my life is my message. How we live our life is the message that we give out. If we feel afraid, if we feel resistant, it is the message of our life, and it is what we're giving out to the world. It's why I came into spiritual community, so that I could have the people in the same community, a sane community, a community that has a like-minded approach to what we're practicing, that can mirror back to me a greater truth of myself. Not mirror back to me my fear, but mirror back to me potential that will love and embrace the journey of growing. So I liken the journey. How many of you have walked a labyrinth? Oh, you're so good. How many of you have walked a maze? They're different, aren't they? They're very different. Labyrinths and mazes are often confused, but they're not the same. The difference is that a labyrinth has a single continuous path which leads to the center, and as long as you keep going forward, you will get there eventually. A maze is a puzzle. False turns, dead ends. It's built into its design. And mazes have multiple paths which branch off, but you never know if the path you're on is going to make it to the center. In fact, often in mythical stories, the explorer will take a string and will walk that string into the maze, even so they can get back out, without knowing if really the journey that they're taking in that particular path will get them to the center, will get them to the goal. At the same time, here's another difference between a labyrinth and maze. A labyrinth does not have walls or fences that hides the other paths. You can actually see the entire path. Whereas a maze it's usually either made by some kind of shrubbery, like this hedge out here, or a fence, or a wall. So you can't see the bigger vision. You can only see the walls, sometimes the turns. You don't know what's up ahead, which is okay. Even in a labyrinth, you don't know what's going to happen. But I'm going to talk about the journey of the labyrinth in a moment. Mazes have essentially 5 possible purposes: to escape, to get the prize, to trace a path, to be a stage, but mostly it's an escape. If you ever watch movies and you see a maze in there, people are running through the maze trying to find something. I have found that they don't walk, they're running, right? I mean, they're running out of fear. And they're trying to find a way either in or a way out. It just depends. But there isn't an intention of finding self. It's a finding an escape. And I often think about that as life, where when we're in our life, sometimes depending on, like June said, what's your bridge? My bridge is how I see it. And if I'm in a maze, I'm trying to find a way out. And when I'm walking a labyrinth, I'm finding a way in. You cannot get lost in a labyrinth as long as you follow the path. In a maze, you get lost all the time. The path on a labyrinth is mindfulness. It doesn't usually, it's not to trick. It's not a puzzle. It's not an illusion. And so when we walk a labyrinth, let me just see there we go. I want to make sure that was my first slide. We want to make sure that in a labyrinth, when we're walking it, that we're considering that the journey I'm taking is the self-discovery. Now, typically when you're walking a labyrinth, there are 4 things that you consider as you enter a labyrinth. 1, you remember why you're here. You're pausing before you walk through the labyrinth. Why am I here? And you may have a question or a concern or something you're holding on to, and you begin your journey. As you get to the center, or as you're making your way to the center, you're releasing the idea that you will not find your way, that it is impossible, that you have to do something else to find it, and you're surrendering to the divine intuition within all of us. When you make it to the center, you receive the gift. And sometimes it's still subtle. It may not still be clear. So you turn and you start to leave, and you walk out with a gift that may not be clear yet, but there's a gift. And finally, as you're walking back out, there's a return that's happening. And the return is the consideration of the gift, what the gift might be, what it might mean. But it doesn't even end as you get back to the exit of the labyrinth. The gift continues from that point on. But it's given you the space, the moment, the time to consider what I'm struggling with, what I have a question about. But unless we actually are willing to go there, what happens to those questions and those issues? Go ahead. They do, they become embodied. They manifest as how we treat one another. They manifest as how we treat ourselves. They manifest in a whole slew of ways. The key is, am I willing to take that space and that time to go within? Because a couple of weeks ago I was giving a talk I was using Alice in Wonderland as the metaphor of life, and the point of the matter is, it's pretty crowded in here. Anybody else not feel like it's crowded in here? Is it completely clear? Even in meditation isn't completely clear. But if I can be that observer, then I can understand that the average of my thinking is what is holding me back. The average of my thinking is a way in because I'm going to look at the thing that I am so obsessed with. Could it be that I feel inferior? Or could it be that I feel superior, which is just another form of inferiority? Could it be, whatever it is my pattern, unless I look in that dark place where it loves to hide, but I would even consider that the dark place is only the place we won't look. It's hidden because I hid it. Intentionally, unintentionally, whatever it is the place that I'm afraid to look. Reverend John and I were talking this week about when a child has a nightmare and you go into the room with the child, what's the first thing you do? What was that? Turn on the light. What's the next thing that you do? Comfort them? What else do you do? How do you do that? Show them. What do you show them? Under the bed? What do? We open the curtain, there's nothing out there, we look under the bed, there's nothing to be, it's not that there isn't anything there, it's nothing to be scared of. It may be I'm scared of the stuffed animal or whatever it is, and you pick it up and you hold it and you show and you demonstrate what it really is. But if you just turned on the light and comforted them and put them back to bed and left, what's going to happen? I'm still scared of the closet, and I'm still scared of under the bed, and nothing has shifted except it's okay that you're afraid. How do you feel about that? You got to look. You have to look. And if it kind of goes like this. When you're dealing with something over and over and it doesn't change, the question I have is, it's like, I'm going to use the number 15 just for the sake of this point. Do I have 15 years of experience of the same thing, or 1 year of experience 15 times? Am I continually each year doing the same thing over and over, which isn't experience doing it differently? It's experience doing it the same way over and over and over and getting nowhere. Am I doing my life in a revolutionary, evolutionary way? Or am I just sort of succumbing to my adaptive personality, which in the ego, what that means is my ego just does a masterful job of hiding. I just adapt. I walk in and I'm the person that I think people want me to be. I'm the person that I think I should be, rather than I came here to be me. All of me. Courageous, sometimes inappropriate, wonderful, exciting, unique, talented, gifted me. And when will I do that? Am I waiting, that 15 years of doing the same thing, am I waiting for something to happen? Am I waiting, like the maze, for a way out, just escaping? Am I waiting to have the right house, the right relationship, the right car, my spouse changing, my kids acting better? This new generation, don't care for them. Look how they act. Am I waiting for them to be better? They're doing just fine. They're being who they need to be in a world that we created. This world we're living in, we created. And they're operating in their way through a world they didn't create. They will create the world for the next generation. We are here to be better at being ourselves, to evolve, to unlearn what we have learned about ourselves and others along the way. We aren't missing anything in our lives, but we are missing someone. It's us. We cannot find us in the conventional way. We must go where we haven't gone. As we go through this unification, we cannot go and look backwards and say, oh, that's the answer, the way we've always done it. The world is gone. That world is gone. We are forever changed. We have to open up to intuitive wisdom. We have to listen. We have to look around and say, who's not in the room? Who should be in the room? What are the structures that are possible in this new configuration? What is a new way? I always like to think, when I first started thinking about this last year, about the fact that as a minister, the role is so huge that it's impossible. We have to find a new way. It cannot be just about the minister. It cannot be just about the board. It cannot just be about a couple of people in the room. That if we want spiritual community to continue, we collectively have to create it. Do you want to know why collectively? Because you need to be in the room, and you need to be in the room, and you need to be in the room with the gifts and talents you have, because if you're not in the room, we're going to miss out on solutions and ideas that are necessary. It cannot just be a handful of people. We all have to take a step in to the darkness. And while we may feel that, oh, I'm not smart enough, I don't know what to do, I'm not enough, or whatever that is, by the way, that is the journey. Creating community is a spiritual practice. It never ends. We voted. Are we done? No. No. And when we're all one, are we done? No. We have to continually evolve, not just for the community. But do you want to change the world? Do you want more love, more peace, more abundance? We have to step in and allow that shift within us. The shift, that invitation, that pull, that draw that says, remember why I'm here. Why am I here? And if I'm not asking why I'm here, and it's not about my vocation, by the way, it's nothing about your vocation. If you're thinking, what's my life purpose? It has nothing to do with your vocation. Nothing. In fact, I remember thinking, wow, if I could have that job, that house, that car, that this, then I'm going to feel better. This much money in the bank didn't help, by the way. Got the job, got the house, got the money, got the car, got that, got this. Still me. Still me. Because it's not that stuff. It's not the right building. It's not even the right minister. It's not the right board. It's the right us. It's us. And if it isn't us, who's going to do it? You don't want me doing it. You don't. Why don't you want me doing it? Because then it's mine. And it's created just from me. And it's only my idea. And I'm sorry, that's not enough. I'm okay with that. Because it shouldn't be. We didn't come here to do this alone. It's up to us to take the ego that says we're not enough, or I don't know enough, or I don't feel comfortable being part of it, and stepping in and saying, what can I bring that is uniquely me? What can I bring? And then pause. Pause. And we listen. We take the class, the workshop. How can I be with one another? How can I encourage Mike to speak? How can I encourage June to speak, and Rachel to speak? And Donna to speak, and Eileen to speak, and Floranne to speak. Oh yes, Floranne. There's some wisdom in there. Is there wisdom in Floranne? Sorry about that, Floranne. Each one of us have something. Sometimes it's listening. Whatever it is, let's bring that. Let's bring that. Let's remember, like the labyrinth, let's remember why we're here. Individually, you have purpose. It's great. I feel it. Let's release what's in the way. And if we don't know how, ask. Practitioners, raise your hand. Guess what these folks do? They help you with that. They are your spiritual coaches. Stop trying to do it alone. Please. I always think of my own life as a miracle because at some point I realized I wasn't alone. It is a miracle. It's a miracle for me to be standing here. We reach the center. We receive all the gifts that each one of us bring, including the gift we bring. And then we return. And that return is allowing that gift to be embodied, and we share that gift with each other. The only solo part of this journey is willingness. That's it. My own willingness. That's it. That's all you need. Is that simple? Is that easy? No. I just want to see what else I have up here. Ernest Holmes says, ignorance stays with us until the day of enlightenment, until our vision toward the Spirit broadens and casts out the image of a no longer useful littleness. What we now experience, we may cease experiencing if we have the will and the imagination to set our vision in an opposite direction and hold it there. It is the office of imagination to set the vision. It's what we have to do. The intention today is an invitation. I want you to consider it through the week. Will you do that? Yeah. Okay. What are you going to consider? What's my intention? Remember why I'm here. Have a willingness to create the community that is now what we're here to create. Not the one from the past, the new one. And it's not great because it's new, it's great because it's us. That's why. So let us pray. In gratitude, I stand here on this sacred ground. As my feet are held up, my entire being is held up by this planet that is a gift so precious, that it is the home of all creation here on earth. And it reminds me that I am part of something huge, something infinite, that I'm connected to all that there is. Because there is only one life, that life being God's life. And that God's life is manifest in the multiplicity and diversity of all creation. So I stand with that, knowing that right here and right now I acknowledge the oneness of all in this room with all that there is. And I affirm and declare a willingness to open to step into new, to say, I don't know, I'm still here. To step in and be part of the beloved community where all are welcome, where the evolutionary and spiritual journey of each person is supported along the way, both in an enveloping and developing way. Why am I here? I will ask myself, knowing this is true for each person here, why am I here? I am here to love. I am here to be peace. I am here to practice abundance. I am here to realize joy, that lightness of being. And this truth I know for myself, I know for each person in this room. So in this gratitude, knowing that this word has power, words have power. And everything I speak, I am mindful of. And when I'm not, I clean it up and do it again. And accept that as the grace of the universe. And so I just released this prayer in such gratitude for being part of the amazing communities of Seal Beach and Namaste. And we accept that. Do we? Oh, yes. And so it is.
Thank you, Rev Bobby. Beautiful as always. We have come together as family. We have come here as we are. We have come with arms wide open. Yeah, we have gathered here in love. Sing it. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. We sing in celebration. Yeah, we sing with words of prayer. Words of prayer. Yeah, we affirm our life as sacred. We declare that peace is here. Oh, here. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Let me hear you. Come on. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Let me hear that again. Woo! Woo! Ow! Hey! One more time. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this. Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Spirit's in this place.
Just make us happy to be here.
Thank you. Say
Reverend Bobby. Wow. Wow. And wow, I stand corrected, June. You have a lot to say about silence. It's wonderful. And this is the time for our offering. So first we're going to start with why. Why? Well, this is a community, as Reverend Bobby says, that we get to authentically be ourselves, getting better and better as a community as we relate to each other. And the gift is being together and creating that beingness together. And we take that gift and we flood it with abundance to our community. Think of that, abundance. So that was the why. So now Pam wrote something new as to how. So this is how. She says, It's super easy to give to our beloved community. That just sounds like Pam, doesn't it? If you want to give by credit card, the Waves of Joy newsletter has a donate button near the top. Apparently it's always been there, but we haven't noticed. So you can just push that donate button near the top. When entering your information, you can specify to make it a one-time donation. Sure. What about a weekly donation? Yeah. What about a monthly donation? Yeah. You can also send a text, and is the number up there? See that number? That's the number you send to. Or you can use PayPal. Donations for cash and checks today, and Cindy, can you hold that up, please, dear? Thank you. This is the metal container, and you can put donations for cash and checks today. You can go in the silver wire container by the entrance on the aisle. Did you like that? Yeah. Okay. Good. I'll have to let Pam know that we liked it. Okay. Now is our offering blessing. It's a tool for prosperity. So what do we want to do with tools? We want to say it with the word conviction. Yeah? Would you like to say it like you mean it, to flood prosperity into you and to flood prosperity into our center? Is that a yes? Yes. Okay. Want to stand up? Okay. If you want to stand up. Okay. Are you ready with the conviction? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prospered. Thank you, God. How did that feel? Yeah. And everybody sit, but practitioners stay up. Okay, good. So, spiritual coaches. You are not alone. We have spiritual coaches. And affirmative prayer is a constructive tool creating a greater expression of life. So say to the practitioners, thank you, life. Okay, thank you, practitioners. Okay. Do we have children? Would you like to welcome in the children?
Our family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Yeah, yeah. Get up, everybody, and sing. Come on, kids. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Oh, we are family.
Hi there. Is this on? Yes. Hi. Hi, Kong. Thank you. Wow. Okay, so I see it's getting late already, so we're just going to quickly tell you what we did. Many of you probably know next week is Mother's Day. We like to celebrate Mother's Day or Special Persons Day. And so we made a really fun project. Does anybody want to talk about the project? That would be a big no. Okay, so it was pretty fun. It was a bubble art project, and we got to I'll show it to you. We got to blow bubbles. We dipped socks on water bottles into bubbles with food coloring, and then we would blow through the water bottle, and it would make a big bubbly flower. And when they first come out, they're big, giant bubble mountains, and then it dries down. And then we turned them into special person cards. And that's what we worked on today and had a good time doing it. Thank you. Have a great week, everyone.
Up with your great conviction.
Okay, everyone. Look at Mike already. So stand if you're able. These are your early adapters. They're in line to buy the iPhone before it's even out. Right? How are you feeling today? Do you have a willingness to go out there and to be the best you? The most authentic you? Are you sure? All right, let's see if we can do this in exactly that kind of energy. So I know that there's something happening. What is it? Something wonderful is happening to me right now. Can you give me a little? Thank you. What's it called? It is this thing called life. Love when he does that. Where is life? Mind. Life is in my body. Life is all that I do. Hold on a second. If it's all that you do, how are you doing it? Time to think, right? So how am I going to do this? I give thanks for it and I accept it. How am I going to accept it? Just the way it is. Hold on a second. That's the easy one. Is it? Just the way it is? Sometimes just the way it is isn't that great, is it? But that's the journey. The journey is to see beyond the condition, to see beyond what it looks like to this mind that has in such habit. What's the other half of that? Just the way it is not. So, in this moment, the most powerful spiritual practice that we can all introduce into our lives, to practice in our lives, is about to happen. Think of something you're grateful for. Thank you. Think of something else, too. What am I grateful for? There it is. And I'm grateful for you, right? Hold something you're grateful for right now in your mind, in your heart. Allow it to fill you up. And on the count of 3, are you full? Now we're going to give it away. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, life.
Now for the peace song.
Yeah.
Peace
Okay.
song.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was like,
Okay.
wait, something else? Oh, yeah.
I was getting ready for that too.
I think I could play.
Can you play the other song? Play the other song.
Are you guys ready? Yeah. You know this one yet?
Play your other song.
I feel like you guys, this is new for you, right?
Yeah, let's do
Come on.
something different.
Here we go. Let there be peace on, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, loved ones all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, and let the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. With each moment and live each moment in eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you. Have a great. See you next time.
That was the plan. Thank you. Thank you, CLB. Beach Namaste. I'm not sure whether it's called Seal Namaste or Nama Beach, but when I wake up in the morning, love, and the sun, it hurts my eyes. Something without warning, love, weighs heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the whole world seems alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day, 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 lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, with someone else instead of me, always seems to know the way. How you doing, brother? Then I look at you, yeah, you. The whole world seems alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day, 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 lovely day. Lovely day, 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 lovely day. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Yes. Thank you, as always.